The grand hall shimmered in white and gold. Crystal chandeliers cast delicate light over polished floors. Guests murmured and whispered, some with pity, others with cruel amusement. Lila stood at the end of the aisle, clutching her bouquet, heart-pounding. She had dressed elegantly, simply, trying to hold herself together, but the crowd's attention wasn't on her. It was on the empty aisle. "Where is he? The CEO? Adrian Blackwell," someone whispered. "Even a cripple won't attend his own wedding. How pathetic," another sneered. Her hands trembled. He's coming, he has to come." Minutes stretched endlessly. Whispers cut like knives. "Forced to marry a man who can't even stand? Poor girl," one mocked. "I'd be embarrassed to be in her shoes," said another, laughter echoing around her. Just as despair began to settle in her chest, a deep, commanding voice cut through the hall. "I'm here." Gasps filled the room. Some guests stiffened, others whispered in disbelief. Adrian appeared, calm and poised in his wheelchair. His eyes locked on Lila, and the hall seemed to shrink, the judgment fading away. "She is my wife. And no one here has the right to mock her," he said quietly, but firmly. The guests fell silent. Lila felt warmth and awe bloom in her chest. The man everyone had called cold, heartless, helpless, was defending her fiercely. For the first time, she wondered if maybe he wasn't what the world believed him to be. The mansion was enormous, elegant, but intimidating. Lila wandered through its vast halls, unsure of her place. The staff were polite, the rooms immaculate, but the silence pressed on her. Adrian was always present, watching, observing, but rarely spoke. Even in his quiet, his actions spoke. He moved obstacles before she noticed them, ensured her tea was warm in the mornings, and guided her carefully through corridors. Every small gesture carried an unspoken message: she was safe, and he was in control. She tried to adjust, to find a rhythm. But the whispers of the outside world still haunted her, judgment from family, neighbors, and even the occasional staff member. Lila felt the weight of everyone's expectations, and for the first time, she realized this marriage was not just about appearances. One evening, as she struggled to carry a tray of glasses, Adrian appeared silently at her side. Without a word, he steadied the tray, his hands firm and strong. She froze, startled by his quiet power. "He's so capable." He glanced at her once, a faint, knowing smile brushing his lips. That was all he needed to say. She understood. Days passed like this, small lessons in patience, quiet gestures of care, and the growing awareness that Adrian's strength, both in body and character, was far more than the world assumed. And in the hush of the mansion's halls, Lila began to feel a strange mixture of fear, fascination, and trust. Her heart fluttered every time he passed, every time he steadied her, every time his eyes lingered on her just long enough to make her wonder what he was thinking. It was in this quiet tension that the first sparks of something deeper began to take hold, a love neither of them expected, growing silently, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. The mansion was alive with chatter and clinking plates. Lila found herself sitting among staff, a few distant relatives, and Adrian. The atmosphere was warm, casual, a stark contrast to the tension of the wedding. She laughed at jokes, poured herself a little more wine than usual, and felt herself relaxing for the first time since the grand hall incident. As the evening wore on, she grew bolder. The wine loosened her nerves, and she started teasing Adrian lightly, brushing against his arm, leaning closer, testing boundaries she hadn't dared to before. "You're too serious all the time," she said with a giggle, reaching for his hand. "Don't tell me you actually enjoy all this silence." He remained quiet for a moment, observing her with calm, intense eyes. Then, as if the tension had snapped, he allowed a small, almost imperceptible smile. His hand brushed hers lightly, steadying her when she nearly tipped her glass. Later, when the dinner ended and they walked to their room, Lila stumbled slightly, still tipsy, and reached for him again. "Adrian, help me," she whispered with a playful smile, leaning against his wheelchair. He studied her for a moment, his expression unreadable. Then, with a fluid motion that left her breathless, he stood from his chair, revealing the strength and agility everyone had assumed he lacked, and lifted her into his arms effortlessly. Lila gasped. You can stand?" He smiled faintly, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I can. I never lied to hurt you. I had my reasons." Her heart raced. The man she had been told was helpless was strong, capable, alive. She felt a rush of trust, desire, and fascination all at once. As he carried her to the bed, their lips met in a tender, lingering kiss. It was intimate, deep, and full of the weeks of tension, subtle care, and unspoken connection that had grown between them. Her hands wandered, pressing against him, and he responded with equal intensity, gentle yet passionate. They collapsed together onto the bed, wrapped in each other's warmth, the world outside the mansion forgotten. The night passed in quiet closeness, whispered touches, and the intimacy that only complete trust can bring. Morning sunlight streamed through the curtains. Lila blinked, slowly remembering the previous night, the wine, her boldness, his strength, the way he had carried her effortlessly. She stared at him in awe. Adrian moved quietly, helping her sit up, his gestures calm but confident. She couldn't hide her amazement. Adrian, you're not crippled, she whispered, a mixture of shock and wonder in her voice. He looked at her, calm and unashamed. I never was. I had my reasons for letting the world believe I was, but never to hurt you. I wanted you to see me, not what others think of me. Her hand found his, fingers interlacing. I see you now. Truly. And I love you. Not because of the chair, not because of what anyone thinks, but you. A rare, genuine smile curved his lips. And I love you. For seeing me, for trusting me, for being yourself with me. They leaned closer, foreheads touching, eyes locked. No words were needed beyond that. The bond between them, tested by mockery, secrecy, and tension, was now solid, real, and unshakable. In the days that followed, their love deepened quietly, small gestures, shared laughter, and gentle touches in the mansion's halls. Lila's confidence grew. Adrian's protective, silent strength continued to speak volumes. And though the world still whispered, they had discovered something no one could mock, a love built on trust, courage, and honesty, one that needed no applause to be felt.
Please like, comment, and subscribe for more fast drama stories like this.